where you can add in a little bit of humor. That's just email confirmation stuff down there. Okay, so you get on the phone, right? And there's this thing where like within the first, I don't know if it's like 4 seconds or like 10 seconds, but within those first few moments of getting on the phone, Mrs. Jones or whoever you're talking to already knows how the phone call is gonna feel. Not necessarily how it's gonna go, but how it's gonna feel. So when you get on the phone, your very first phrase needs to have energy. So like when you say, hello, may I please speak to Mrs. Smith, Mrs. Sally, whatever her name is, you need to bring energy on that part. And what that's going to do, I know we always say smile while we dial. That's so that you can actually feel that. Because like when you smile, you trick your brain into being happy. So when you're happy on the phone, Mrs. Jones gets happy, and then she starts getting like curious, like, okay, what's going on here? This person's happy. Because usually when we get a scam call or a telemarketer call, someone's like, hello, is this Mr. Gray? And they're like serious about it. But we need to come, bring the energy, so it gets them curious, and then we start talking, and then we ask them about if they got the text, right? Did you get that text that you mentioned I was going to be calling? If there's two ways this can go. They can say yes, and if they say yes, that's an instant rapport because you know one of their friends, and you lean into that rapport. You talk about, oh, blah blah blah. She told me that you love, and then you bring in one of those pieces that you found out about her from getting the recommendations, right? So you lean on that rapport. Let's say she says no. You have this little line, right? I'm so sorry. You're probably wondering why I'm calling. This is like a great spot to add in humor. Like, oh, I'm so sorry. You probably have no idea who I am, don't you? Like, and then you can like be funny with that because it's an awkward situation, and so you lean into the awkwardness, and now it's funny. So every little moment you're looking to build some more relationship, either with humor or the already repair that rapport that's there because they got the text message. Now, when they ask, how are you? This is another one. So, like, let's say you're calling an acquaintance, like a neighbor, right? So, I have this one neighbor who I'm planning on calling. They're still a little bit on my chicken list, but I'm gonna call them and I'm gonna be like, I don't even know if you know who I am. My name's Evan. I'm your neighbor down the street. Like, you can be funny with the awkwardness, because sometimes it is they're getting a call from a strange person who they don't know yet. So you can lean into that awkwardness and be funny with it. This is another one when you're saying, "Hey, I'm a student over at fill in the college majoring in," you can make a joke with that. That could always be funny. I'm majoring in, I don't know, water bottle construction. No, I'm just kidding. I'm majoring in education. Like that's a little piece to add in a joke. One of the best parts to add in a joke though is when you say Cutco. Have you ever heard of it? They'll say they'll probably if they say yes, then that's already going to be a good demo. But if they say no, it's a great spot to add in another joke like, "Oh, we just sell a bunch of baby alligators. We fertilize them in your house for you." That's a great spot to make a joke. Just every time that they ask a question, you always want to like respond with a joke and then come back with the real answer. So when she says, "How long is the demo going to take?" You say, "Oh, about 12 hours. Don't worry, I'll bring my mask. I have my own pillow." And then you pause for a moment and then you go, no, I'm just kidding. And then you talk about how long it actually takes. It's kind of the same way with recommendations when you say just the first 5 to 10,000 names and they're like, no, I'm just kidding. So that you're just leaning into all those jokes. And then when you start enjoying making those jokes or get excited to make those jokes, then it's a little bit fun to phone because you're like, oh, I hope they ask what's Cutco so I can make this joke, so I can hear them laugh, so I can be funny with it. Another thing is this is just this isn't about being funny, but just your tone when you say, "Can you squeeze me in to your really busy schedule?" That's important to just be like lighthearted with it, fun with it, so that Mrs. Jones knows that you're not like, "Hey, could you squeeze me in?" That would be like you're very boring. But you want to be your tone always has to be lighthearted, fun, someone she wants to interact with. This is a great one. So you ever been on the phone and say, "Hey, Mr. Jones, are you married?" Right when she says no, you say, "Oh, that's totally fine, Miss Jones. I'm not married either. What's your favorite kind of flowers?" And then she always laughs at that. That one's funny. Flirting with Mrs. Jones a little bit is always it can be a little tricky. You got to read the situation, but it's always a little funny. The other thing that this one, Sebastian gave us this line. Can you do a huge smiley face? I know there's a lot of us who don't even read this confirmation part. You have to read this confirmation part. This is how you remove reschedules. And when you do this line, can you write a smiley face, a big smiley face, so you know what I look like on the Zoom? They're gonna. That's just funny. You're gonna book up that demo. And then finally, when you say, "I'm really looking forward to our scholarship appointment," You got to actually be looking forward to it, and that's going to be clear in your tone. If you're just like, okay, great, looking forward to it, they're going to be like, this person is just like using me. But if you actually seem like you care, because we actually do care about Mrs. Jones, you say, oh, great, I'm looking forward to it so much. And then you say bye-bye on the phone. So at every one of those pieces, you want to constantly be building rapport with humor, with intentionality in your tone. And when you do that over and over, phoning becomes more fun because it's just like talking to someone. We all like talking to our friends. We all like calling our friends. And then this is another thing, like when you call your friends, you ask them to do something that they don't want to do. Usually you have fun with it and you're like, come on, it'll be fun. And then you're like fun with it. So it's the same thing with Mrs. Jones. And that's how I phone and how I have more fun on the phone. Questions, comments, concerns?
Yeah, quick Q&A, takeaways, whatever you guys want. Give ask Evan while you have him on the Zoom.
I like the idea of leaning into the awkwardness. I think Evan put that in the chat too, like being okay with the awkwardness. I still got to work on. So yeah, just thinking about that when I make my calls next will be really good.
And thanks, Lindley, for constantly being someone that's eager to learn, being one of the higher ones in sales here and just constantly developing her skills, which I think is awesome. Because you're great sales reps make great managers, right? You lean into that awkwardness as a manager, reps like you more. If you're weird, people like being weird around weird people. It's attractive. What else?
I have a
Ms.
question.
Jackson.
So if you're ever on the phone and they like say they're not interested, do you like try to get them excited about it, or do you kind of just say like, okay, thanks for your time?
Me or Sebastian?
No, you.
There's only been 2 times someone has said they're not interested.
Okay.
One was when I called a rec who, oh no, both are when I called recs who didn't get texted. So usually they always say yes. And the one who said no it was like a single guy. So I didn't want him to say yes anyway. And the other person who said no, they said they felt uncomfortable on the Zoom. And that was actually the conversation after that when I talked to Jacob and I said, what do I need to do differently on the phone so that doesn't happen? And he told me about that rapport, and they know how the phone call is going to go within those first few seconds. So that's actually what caused me to start coming out of the gate more happy than what I was before.
How much are you at in sales?
19,500. So right
19K and only 2 people have said no. That's awesome. Like keeping track of that. Whatever you're dealing with, everything is a good reflection for you to like take note and get better at. So if you're getting a lot of hangups or not interested or no shows, no sales, like that's all things that you can go back and see where you messed up. So keep that in mind. That's huge. Any other questions? Any other takeaways?
Oh, I'm unmuted. I was gonna go. I thought I muted myself back. But my takeaway was to really just dive in with the firm up, because I've been here for 2 years now and I still find myself not really, putting emphasis on the firm up, and that leads to like reschedules and things like that. So that's something, to definitely, dive into is the firm up. And like you said, just have fun with it.
Work smart. All these different things you can take into any business, right? The firming up, the confirmation text, all those different things.